again. See if it starts going. No, you can see. Oh, you get to go. That's weird.
You can see me now?
I can't, but that's okay because I will just bring it up on Facebook instead.
Okay.
So
you can't look at what I'm going to be showing you and talking to you about?
we'll figure it out.
Okay. Okay. Just make Maggie do it.
Yeah.
Because I can see myself and I can see you. I can hear everything. You just can't see me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, I can't. No. Okay, fuck. Okay, I'm going to call Maggie again.
Krista, can you hear me?
Now I can hear. Okay, if I'm on the phone with you, I can hear you. But when I'm not on the phone, I can't hear you.
Did you mute your speaker? I accidentally muted my speaker.
You did?
Here. Oh, wait. Let's try one more thing.
I think I also did this with you. Ah, there you are.
What?
Got it.
Okay, wait. Now I fucked up.
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Can you see me?
I cannot see you.
Now you cannot see me?
Yes. I was seeing you before.
Okay, what'd Maggie do? Your camera sources working.
We can do this. It's okay. We got time. This is the second time I've ever tried this.
Okay.
But before, what it was is I had to reload my page.
Okay. Should I close down and because I can't see myself, and I
Did you turn your camera on? Because you're not in the stream, but I can hear you.
Okay. Let me figure out how to do that. What's that? Connect camera. Okay.
There you are. I see you.
Now you see me?
I see you.
Sure. I can't see myself, but I can see you. That's good?
So reload your page.
Okay, so close out of this and reload my page.
Don't reload it. Just go up to your browser at the top where the little like circle button is and just hit that. Are you still there?
Yeah. Well, can you see me?
Okay. I can see you fine. I mean, I'm talking to you right now.
Right. Do I need to see me? Can you can see me. I just can't see myself. Right?
Hold on.
I don't know how to like the browser. I don't know where the wait, okay, what's that?
You are in the stream.
Now we're split screen. You can see me?
Yes. Yes. Did we do it?
Okay. Okay.
Woo!
All right.
So sorry. We're getting better at this.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Ta-da! All right.
Ta-da. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be smarter this time.
Okay.
And I am going to bring up my questions on my phone so I don't have to keep looking around and going through all the different tabs.
Gotcha.
Because I think this is the better way to do this. Oops. Drive. There we go. And I had lots of thinking, and I was trying to figure out how to make a drink where I could be like, what reminds me of Krista's artwork?
Okay.
Well,
what's the drink? A shot of whiskey?
Yes.
Wait.
So it's stag breath liqueur, whiskey
Okay.
with honeycomb.
Okay, nice. Okay.
So
I have a old fashioned brandy old fashioned sweet, a total Wisconsin drink, which is where I'm from.
I'm also going to put it in my very amazing vintage Star Wars cup.
Okay.
And then I will tell you that I was told I can't use frozen blueberries, and I had to go find real ice cubes. So,
okay.
Cheers. Krista.
Okay, so cheers. Cheers.
Woo! Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
we're good, right?
We are totally fine. We are live. This is, it's going to just be part of the thing is the hiccups, because I haven't actually taken the time to do the class that goes along with this live streaming.
Okay.
Because I have been laying on the couch doing nothing.
Me too, except for trying to clean up my studio.
It looks great.
I did a decent job. I mean, in my 4-foot by 4-foot studio. Can you see any of this?
Yes.
I tried to put some of the stuff up. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to make you big and I'm going to keep me small because I'm not the important thing. Those are beautiful. So, okay, so I know some of your artwork and I know a little bit about you, but pretend that like I'm a space alien and I know nothing. And so I want you to explain.
Space alien. Yeah, okay.
I want you to explain what kind of artist you are and like a little bit about Krista.
Oh God. All right. What kind of artist am I? I just do whatever I feel like doing, I guess. I mean, I can paint, I could draw. I don't do much sculpting, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of I just follow threads. I'm kind of like that kind of artist. If something interests me, then I go ahead and just start, doing it, and exploring and learning as I go, kind of thing.
So were you
like the moods and stuff? Hold on a second.
Look how amazing that artwork is. So pretty. Okay.
What's that? What is?
I said
I am. Thank you.
Yes, you're so beautiful. So your artwork, I mean, your skill level is so high.
Oh, and thank you. That's really sweet.
You are obviously like very disciplined with your artwork. I mean, nobody makes that type of level of artwork without like hard work behind it. You just can't. It's not magically pouring out of you. You're working to get that behind you.
I am. Yep. I am working.
And I don't think that like everybody really like understands that like artists aren't just magicians, that we just like, ooze art, that we have to work on it, right?
Right.
So tell me
so I went to the University of Minnesota. I got my art degree there. Mm-hmm. And I was a printmaker as my major. I specialized in intaglio. But then for my senior project, I kind of discovered letterpress printing. So I started learning that. It was sort of a mentorship sort of thing. So I started doing that, and I ran a small business doing that. I published some small books, broadsides, various things like that. Here, I'll show you my press.
Yeah.
That's Carl.
Oh, hello, Carl.
Yeah. See, rock on. And I did that for a long time, but I hadn't recently like picked up drawing and stuff again until, I don't know, the last couple of years. I kind of take breaks from things. And the nudes are the nudes are like a whole thing on themselves. I mean, it's kind of a thread I'm on right now. For lack of a better word, I'll use that. And also my, what do you call, the roadkill stuff.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the stories behind some of those if you want to just jump in, or I can just talk about myself a little bit more.
You can tell me anything you want. I'll probably ask you a lot of questions.
Don't ask that. I'll tell you too much.
Well, no. Okay, well, let's start with the nudes, because I think
Okay.
that's where,
Okay.
you know, when we were starting to plan Safe Word, when I was talking with the people that were going to be our judges, I was like, I showed your work as an example.
Okay.
And I was like, I just think that, there's going to be a range of like what sexuality is and what erotic it is. And like, there's a lot of different avenues that you could go with something like that, And I think
sure.
with artists, we're always like, we admire the nude. We're obsessed with it in a lot of ways.
Right.
We're constantly trying to imitate it.
People have been drawing it for ever.
And then it goes to as far as being like what's considered art to what is considered pornographic.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Right. I don't consider my work pornographic. I don't even know if I consider it erotic.
Okay.
Everybody's definition is different on that. I mean, my work, my nudes, and I'll show you some later, it's, for me, how do I put this? It's more about sensuality and sexuality, but not necessarily, I'm not going for shock value or raunchy or anything like that. My work is in your face, but at the same time, it does leave like a lot of, I hope it leaves a lot of to either your imagination or, you're not totally seeing everything. I think that I'm not saying I'm not going to go out and draw like a full on crotch in the future or something. I probably will. But, right now this series it's more about like the sensuality of people and catching those moments. I think it's very common for people to, be very critical of their bodies. I mean, even if you're in great shape, I mean, you see yourself different than other people see you. And so when people come and model for me, I really like to just take my time, look at their bodies, play with lighting, find things that I think are sensual or sexy or attractive about their body. And then I try and accentuate that. And part of the reason I do them all in black too, around the back of it is I really want to present like the person's body as the by else around them. If anything, it's like a void or an abyss around them, so that their bodies are presented full on, like it's all about their bodies. You know what I mean? Or their presence in the picture and nothing else. Plus, it's really fun as hell to like really like dig in and make the darks really dark. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I get my aggression out, I think, in the piece. But it's interesting. I mean, the whole way that this sort of started out was I had. Okay, first of all, I don't like to talk about my models very much, so I'm going to keep it very vague.
Sure.
I really respect people's privacy that are willing to, model for me and things like that. So I don't want to go too much into detail about the personal part. But, this series sort of started for me because I had a client contact me that was having some body image issues. And specifically their rump. Okay, this one. This one.
Got it.
Am I pointing at it? It's backwards. Okay, this one.
I see the rump.
Okay. So she wanted something that helped her look at herself and view herself differently, as something sexy or, the part of her body that she was critical of or whatever. She wanted to kind of come to grips with that a little bit more and sort of see it differently so that she wouldn't, I don't know, either go in the direction of surgery to change it or just, constantly live in that feeling of, I don't like this, or I'm paranoid, or I pay too much attention to this body part. So, I drew her. This was one of hers, but she has the other one that I drew for her originally. And that was sort of like a catalyst for this quote unquote thread or whatever that I described that I go on. Because, first of all, I mean, when she was posing, I was just like, what you talking about? I mean, it looks stunning. But, people are more critical of themselves than somebody else. And, seeing yourself also from somebody else's eyes or from a different perspective, I think is really, a really interesting thing, a different way to see yourself. You know what I mean? So this series sort of started out with that. And then, I had lots of photographs of her and I had permission to continue drawing her, just not use her name. And then, that branched on to other people, that I basically put the word out, said, hey, anybody want to pose for me? And they came and they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. So I was like, all right. So, that's kind of where it started, but, it's kind of taken its own direction, I think. I do have certain things in my head that I'd like to execute. And if somebody's modeling for me, I may or may not try and execute with them. It's really a feeling at the time. So if somebody's posing for me and I'm like, oh my God, I totally want them to sort of, pose in this way that I had imagined and, a sort of look or feel that I wanted, they may come to my studio and start posing and I'm just like, nope, doesn't even work. It's just, that's not them. That's not what I'm feeling. And then I'll just start to work from that, but dramatic lighting and stuff. I mean, it's a strong tool.
Right.
With that in mind, I mean, that is part of the whole process for me too, is taking those photographs because I enjoy kind of odd angles and different perspectives instead of just like totally blatant. I mean, I get a lot of people who, mostly gentlemen, who love to like send me pictures of themselves, if you know what I mean, because they think that like I'm short on material or like I just want to draw like a dick or something. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not how it is. I mean, that's not even part of the process for me. It's the whole process. I mean, I want to be with the person. I want to see what they look and feel like to me. I want to find the angles that I think are sensual, but I don't know. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. It
Sure.
starts from that and then it takes its own sort of direction or form for me, depending on the person. So, like all of these people, some of their are repeats. There's several models. Like I use Raven a lot because I was able to have some photo sessions with him before all of the, lockdown happened and everything. And the Abby series, there's quite a few of her. So I'm really kind of, I kind of dove into it and then the lockdown happened. So I'm just trying to continue on going with like the material I have, so I take photographs, lighting, all of that kind of stuff, but I'm not reproducing the photographs. You know what I mean? I'm kind of using them as a, something to look at instead of making somebody like model for me for like 2 hours while I draw them.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that, So I kind of take the photographs just to kind of get angles and things that I'm interested in and, things like that so that I can kind of work from them. They are accurate to their bodies though. I do not change their bodies. I don't make their legs skinnier or their boobs bigger or hide stretch marks or, anything like that, cellulite or whatever, beer belly, whatever. I don't usually hide those. I feel like it's really important to be really
honest
and honoring of the actual person. They are real people. I mean, part of it is I can't afford a model, so I kind of put a feeler out there. I'm like, who wants to model for me? You know what I mean? And I got tons of response, which is really great. But like I said, I haven't gotten around to a lot of people that want to do this for me because of the lockdown sort of thing, Right. But I'll get there. I mean, things will change, and I'll add to these, I think,
So I kind of heard in there a little defense about using your camera like as a tool. And I feel like that's something that I hear echoed further back in like my fine arts classrooms, where it was like, you need to work in life. Like you have to work in life. That makes it more authentic for you as an artist. But like the further I go on in meeting artists, there's all sorts of tools that exist that like make our life easier.
Right.
Which, I was around before the internet, and it's like, I remember when Photoshop was coming out and people were like, that's a cheat. Like that's cheating.
Oh, right. Because you could, yeah. Uh-huh.
And it's like, I don't see any issue with taking photographs at all, because it's just another tool.
I agree. I guess the reason why maybe that came off a little bit, not defensive, but a little bit touchy is, I know this is a compliment and I take it as a compliment, but a lot of times I get compliments on my work. If I post something, oh my God, I thought it was a photograph, or it's so photographic, or, and that's lovely. I love that. But, I don't think drawing or painting something so that it looks realistic is just a hands down, oh, that's good art. You know what I mean? Now, granted, they do. I mean, they are photograph feeling. They do feel kind of real, like a photograph. But they're not. I'm not, like I said, I'm not reproducing literally what I'm seeing. I'm adding to that or changing certain things. But there is a general element that is to them. There is a lot of commonality between, the finished work and the photographs. But, I guess it's important for me to just be myself that is part of the process for me, is to photograph them as well. I can imagine things in my head. I can switch stuff around. I can do a lot of those things, but it's just like if you're drawing a nude, it really helps to look at something, and especially if I've started out with some lighting to help me imagine where those shadows are going to be, or make them more dominant or less or whatever. It really helps as a visual aid for me to work from, is the photographs,
You were talking about before the lockdown, like taking these photos and stuff, and like, all of this is it's going to change a lot of things for people. It's changing lots of things right now. And, I think for myself, like I keep being like, well, how is this going to change, like, the artist community, and how is this going to change shows? And, like, what are people doing? And, can you talk about like how, and if you want to share, like what your pandemic and this time has been like for you, like as a working artist and creating art, and maybe any advice that you have for humans out there?
Well, I'm going to be honest. The pandemic is making me work harder because I'm bored. I don't always want to hang out with my family all the time. I need to mix things up, concentrate on things instead of, being bogged down with what's going on, which is mostly negative and scary and things like that. So I've actually, I'm working more. And I also think that I'm networking better because since you can't see people face to face, you have a tendency to kind of like, you come across a group that you like and you join the group and then you post something on there and then, people comment or like it or people contact me for prints and things like that, and, for me, I don't know, the current situation is not necessarily a negative one as far as me putting myself out there. I actually feel like I've put myself out there more because I'm isolated, because I can't physically go and do those things. You know what I mean? And there's also just a shitload of cool people out there, just really great groups and really, supportive, nice people that are making their own fantastic work on top of it. So it's really fun. It's really fun to kind of explore that a little bit. But like I said, it's tough because I don't have access to people modeling, and I've tried to sort of have somebody model sort of via, phone or take pictures, and it's just not the same. It just doesn't feel the same. So I don't usually execute those because I don't feel like I'm like fully part of the process. It's not like my full vision. Directing somebody via, phone or whatever isn't the same as like being present with somebody.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But, and the thing with these two, any of the things that I've drawn or the people that I've drawn who don't have a name attached to the actual piece of artwork. Some of them are untitled or they're vague. They don't have the person's name. That's because the person has not given me permission to do that. They want to remain anonymous. And that's another reason why I just don't talk about, anything really personal about the models because, like I said, that's a big respect issue for me. I mean, if I start breaking those rules and start sharing stuff, nobody's going to model for me. And I'm broke, so I need free models. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. Do you want to see some of them up close, or do you have more questions? You want to chat a little bit before I start moving around? Drink some more.
I've actually been sucking it down quite a bit. I'll probably fill it up.
Well, I'm just going to warn you. I'm a lightweight with the liquor. So by the time this gets down to about here, this conversation is going to be garbage. I'm just going to be so degraded,
The whole point of this was like, it's what else can we know about people around us? You know what I mean? And since we are having this huge distance, like it's not like we can have like a happy hour and we can't see each other at an opening. I can't even introduce you to somebody.
Right.
But actually, let me ask you now, if people are watching you and they want to ask you a question or they want to approach you like during this time, how do you feel about that?
During what time? Our live stream thing or just
no, during the pandemic. Like when you have artists that want to talk to you and like talk about your work, like want to start this conversation with you, like sometimes it can be very intimidating if you don't know each other.
Right. Well, I'm not easily intimidated, so I'm pretty much open to whatever.
How do you like people to
they can email me? I mean, I hold some really great conversations on Instagram with people and on Facebook. I've actually really connected with a lot of fantastic people that are local and not local and that are just great artists. And, there's a lot of art discussion or whatever. So, I mean, people can email me. I mean, I've got my email, or you're going to tag my email or whatever, or on Instagram. I mean, instant message, that type of stuff. I mean, and, if it ends up that I'm actually comfortable with the person, and you know, I would even talk on the phone, because I mean, talking with physical, actual voices is a lot different than texting. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Getting a point across, or, you know, things like that. But I'm totally open to that kind of stuff. But, you know, I also have a tendency to block a lot of people. The nature of my work doesn't always invite the most pleasant people, appropriate people, you know. But, you know, I really am good about giving people a chance. And if I feel the discussion is solid and it's real and the person's decent, I will totally keep going, and have become really good friends with a lot of people, artists and stuff, that way because of that, you know. So, I mean, this live thing is a little weird, you know. I'm particularly like looking at myself talking. But you know, it's like I'm concentrating on your little picture, because I'm like, I don't want to look at that shit over there.
Well,
so
this.
Oh, there you go. Oh, okay, double. Yeah, all right, there you go.
Better?
That's,
except that I'm about to be like, hey, will you show us all of your artwork behind you?
You want to start?
Yeah, I totally want to see art and talk about all of the things, because you do so many things. But I'm going to make myself little again, just so that we can see all about you.
Okay. Well, okay. Why don't we start on we'll start on the nudes, just because we've been talking about those. Sure. And then I did bring my self-portrait up. I did my first self-portrait. Awesome. I've never done one before, so I brought that up. We can look at that if you want. And then I also I have 2 of the roadkill paintings, and once we get to those, I can talk to you a little bit more about what's behind those as well. Awesome. Okay, well, I guess I'll pick you up and drink first.
Yes, drink. Right? Drink. Okay, sorry.
All right.
Pick me up.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Let's start with, we're going to go straight to Safe Word Show. Here's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Can you see me? Oh, no, you're good. Okay. So, you know, your erotic art show, the Safe Word, I was in that one. And this one is probably the most erotic, only because it's a straight up dick, and it's got clips on it, and it's it's in your face, so you really can interpret it very differently. But you've seen this one.
Yes.
Yeah. So wait a minute. Is that better?
Yes.
Can you see the whole thing? Okay.
Beautiful.
So that's kind of in your face. That piece itself is like way more in your face than the other stuff that I normally do. Okay, so with these, some of the people have posed completely nude for me. Some people have not, which is something to consider, because sex, sensuality, sexuality, all of that, it's not necessarily tits and ass. You know what I mean? It's more than that. At least it is for me. And so, you know, some of them are kind of in your face, some of them are not. So if you want, I can turn you around and sort of look at some of them. Some of them I do add things to. One guy is kind of holding, he didn't actually have that, but he, you know, the way he posed and the actual composition felt to me like he should be, so I kind of added that. Okay, so that guy, this guy, can you see that?
They're so Krista,
really
can I ask you just a medium question? What kind of paper do you use when you're making this, and what kind of charcoal do you usually use?
And what kind of what?
Charcoal. It's
charcoal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I usually work on Reef's BFK. It's usually a printing paper, And the reason why I work with that one and I like that one is one side is like super smooth, really smooth, so that I can get very, very soft blending and things like that. And the other side is a little bit more textured. For example, this one, you can look at it close. It's I'm gonna put it closer.
Yes.
You can see that it's like more, there's a little more roughness to it. I maybe you can't see it on the camera, but you know, like that, I used the rough side, and that kind of gave that sort of feeling to her, where something like this one is just like uber smooth, you know.
Right.
I mean, it's like butter on her. So it depends on the person and you know what I'm looking for in the piece, depending on what side. But I'm pretty loyal to that particular paper because I like the size, it's affordable, and I really do like what it does. Now, as far as charcoal, I'm going to be honest. I buy stuff that is on sale, and I have gotten a preference for a specific one that is like just the abyss of black. You know what I mean? Like this one is just completely so rich and black. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be honest, I don't even remember what that charcoal is. So I'm almost out. So I'm going to have to go get some more, and I might have to just buy a bunch of charcoal and draw on my paper and figure out which one that one is, because I have bought many in the past to see which one I like, but then I didn't make a mental note of which one I liked. So I might have to start over.
So
as far as charcoal.
You said that you did intaglio printing before?
Yeah, that was my major. Let me grab my drink. That was my major in college. So yeah.
From what I know of printmaking is like, you got to be neat with your execution and like your station around you, because if you aren't, then you ruin like all your prints and all your material and you're done. Right. And I can see from around those charcoal drawings that it is white and gorgeous, and that is definitely, like, if I think about it, I'm like, of course you were a printmaker. Of course you're a printmaker. Look how clean that is. That's amazing. So what do you take?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What do I what?
How do you, when you start drawing, do you just tape them to hell all the way around when you get going, or are you like just that neat naturally?
Oh hell no. Mommy tapes. You know, I measure it out. I tape the whole edges, and then I begin within that realm, because seriously, there's like something so satisfying when you are done and you peel that off, and it's just like this crisp white edge and that black. It's just like, oh, it's so nice. But no, I tape them off because I just think, but part of the reason I do that is these are fairly large pieces. I mean, most of these are like 16, 18 by like 27, you know. Paper itself is like 22 by 30.
Okay.
22 by 30. So all of these are like within that realm, and most of them take up most of the stuff, or the paper. But the reason why I like tape them off is because, you know, buying a piece like this size and having it matted is really expensive for myself and other people. Yeah. And, you know, if you're saving up your money to buy one of these pieces, which is, you know, I think the price of my stuff is very fair, but also, I mean, you know, it's not like people are made of money. Yeah. And once they get them, you really have to put them in something. Otherwise that paper's going to yellow and all that kind of stuff. But it's like framing and matting is unbelievably expensive. Yep. You know, even if you like find the cheap route to do that. And so if I tape them off and they have a nice crisp edge or whatever, you can kind of get away just kind of framing them as is. You know what I mean? They already have a frame around them. And like this one, you can see where I drew,
Yeah.
I mean, you can see where I pulled the tape off and stuff like that. And I actually don't think that that's particularly unattractive. You know what I mean? As far as like if you wanted to frame it just as is, or I suppose you could cut it down. But for me, it gives me an edge. It gives me like a place to stop and frame it in my head instead of it just being like sort of like blending on the page and it helps me contain my vision and composition really for me. It helps to tape it off and have it really sharp like that. Helps for me to execute a composition the way I want to,
That's you're talking about like, cause I know that you work with a lot of clients, like, and that type of relationship and knowing all those little tidbits. Like, I think that when I do shows with a lot of artists that maybe don't have as much experience, they get really bummed out that sometimes people don't buy their stuff, and you don't think about the logistics and things like that. Like, it might cost that person twice as much as what they bought that piece of artwork for because they don't want to frame it. Or, like, do I have enough room in my house for this large piece of artwork? Is there, like, maybe not right now, but like as you're showing some of your stuff, because you have so much of a client base behind you, if you have anything that you could share for other people like that, I think it would be very helpful to hear it from somebody who has been working with clients as long as you have.
Well, I'm going to be honest. The nudes, I don't have as much clients for the nudes as I do. I do pet portraits for a living. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've seen those.
Yep.
This is actually a blown up version of, I do pet portraits that are tiny. They're like 3.5 by 3.5. They're tiny. So this is a very blown up version on a canvas. So like when I do art fairs or something like that, there's something big and visual, but there we go. You see that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So that is a very, very large version of a very tiny painting. That clientele and that process is very easy for me to deal with because it's very straightforward.
Okay.
They send me photographs. I find the photograph, that I like or want to work with, and then I usually just focus on the face. So those are very easy to execute. Not easy, but you know what I mean? Like getting the client what they want. Those are definitely commission sort of style things. The nudes are not. The nudes are, I actually even sign those with my maiden name because I want to keep that separated from my pet portrait business because they don't really mix,
Yeah.
Boobs and dogs. I don't usually have the same clients, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, I don't know. I mean, recently I've been starting to sell some of these and I've had a lot of inquiries about prints. Which is really nice because you can own a really gorgeous piece and you can also scale it down.
Yeah.
Because these are large. And like you said, people have limited space in their house and they've got, a limited budget as far as like being able to afford to have it matted and, things like that. So I think it's really, I think being able to have prints available of these is a good seller for these pieces of work or advice to other people. I mean, you have to put a good price or a much better price on your originals than prints because they are originals. And, but offering some of these, I mean, I do offer them full size. You can get a print, the exact full size of the actual piece. But like you said, it's hard for people to afford to, frame those and stuff. So I do offer smaller pieces. So, I mean, that would be my advice, making sure that, you you do offer something that is more in that range, realistically, financially, and also, you know, framing it and space in your house and stuff like that, because it'd be kind of a bummer, you know, I mean, if they weren't available, because a lot of people wouldn't buy them or the prints because of that, because they're just too big. But I'm telling you, man, they're when they're big like this, they're just like, I mean, there's a stunning. They got to, and they're just, and they're really consume you. And the scale of them, I think, is one of the things that is, you know, strong about the work. But like you said, it's hard to afford large work, and it's hard to sell large work because, you know, the larger it is, the more, you know, possibly time you're putting into it, the materials, you know, things like that. But I don't want to execute these small. They don't feel small. It's not going to get the presence that I want and the details that I want. You know, doing the details large and then having it scaled down to a smaller print is a lot different than trying to draw it small.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, you know, like I said, I did letterpress for years, and that's like super anal. I mean, you know, you're, you know, hand setting all the lead type and its measurements, and, you know, I'm plenty good at anal. Sorry. You know what I'm saying. But, you know, so when I do personal work, I tend to work large because I don't, you know, my commission work with the portraits are always tiny. Whenever I do letterpress, it's tiny, it's very tight, it's very controlled, it's very whatever. And so when I do my personal work, I have a tendency to work really big, which means I get stuck with a lot of work that I keep and have to figure out how to store. But, you know, it's not the worst problem in the world, you know. So, okay, so let me think. All right, you want to see my portrait?
Yeah.
Portrait?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to turn that. And I'm not going to talk a hell of a lot about this one, because I don't want to. All right, there you go. All right. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It's got like a shadow on it. Here, I'll pull it back.
You know, it just kind of blows my mind, Krista, like how varied you can go, and I can still see that it's you.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool.
Like,
I like that. Yeah.
Even from the cat to your self-portrait to that dark, maybe it's like you're staging, which I know doesn't sound quite right, but there's something that, I don't know. It's like when I grow up, I want to be you, because that's like
When you grow up?
Yeah, when I grow
I
up.
haven't grown up myself yet, so yeah, give me a call when you do.
It's like, you know, I feel like we're always trying to learn something, like as artists, like you just have that natural curiosity, and like sometimes, like I think that, like I struggle with art block a lot.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself that, like, it doesn't have to be the same thing. Like I should go try something different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's hard to do though, because there's a safety net. I struggle with that as well. You're like, okay, I want to do something that I know I'm good at, you know, which the pet portraits for me was kind of like that. I mean, I'm like, I can do those. They take a lot of work. They're easily a good 5 hours of watercolor and drawing and all that kind of stuff. It's not like it's like I sit down and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. It's awesome. You know, I mean, I work hard on those, but you know, there's a certain level of like understanding of the process on those. So it's just a matter of me executing that process. And also adding my own sort of thing to it too. It's not like I'm just copying something, you know, but you know, like that's why I kind of stretched out into the nudes and stuff, because it's a completely different medium, you know. Charcoal is completely different than watercolor and things like that, or like the portrait, I'm doing oils and stuff like that. I mean, I'm mostly doing these to learn. This whole series of the nudes and the you know, the roadkill in
Oh, shoot.
So do we?
I think we froze
Kinda.
for a hot minute. Yeah.
No, you're freezing once in a while, but it's not that bad.
Okay. You know, I had like just so that everybody knows that I'm still learning how to use this program, and we can go very low standard or we can go high standard. And I've been going in the middle because I'm afraid that we won't be able to look at artwork if it's like
Right.
too low.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean.
you do
I
have
think
a
everybody
question.
knows it's not perfect, you know.
You do have a question from Facebook from Michael Liu. When you're finished with a piece, what do you use to finish the piece so the charcoal doesn't smudge or move? And does it also help with UV protection?
Yes. Okay. So, oh, that's in my car. Okay. So when I get to a point where I feel like I'm pretty much done, which is hard to figure out when that is. I think that's a struggle for most artists, is either keep going or stop and things like that. But, you know, when you get to that point where you're kind of stopped and you want to stop, I use spray fix, you know, workable fixative. Krylon makes it. You can get a Dick Blick or any of the art stores. But that's workable. So that means if I feel like it's done, I'll spray that thing. But you can still lift and remove or draw over it, or, you know, it's called workable fixative for a reason. You can still work with the piece, but it does help protect the delicate charcoal from like flaking off and falling off and all that kind of stuff, or getting smudged while you're trying to work. But I don't ever use it while I'm working. I do it when I'm done.
Okay.
Or I think I'm done, because there's a certain amount of challenge that I like not securing it early, because I do a lot of erasing and adding and things like that, and I always feel like that might get in the way, the fixative. But anyway, when I'm done, then I spray it with something that is it's a fixative, but it's called final fixative. So
Okay.
you spray the piece with that, and that puts a thin coating over it. It does not affect the charcoal. I mean, I've really looked at it, and it's you spray it and you can't tell. So it doesn't affect the piece, and it sets that charcoal so it's a little more solid. You can even feel the texture. You can touch it, and it feels scratchier. You know what I mean? And I believe that does help with UV protection and stuff. It doesn't, it's supposed to be safe for paper, so it doesn't yellow the paper over time and things like that. I mean, I think that's why framing something, especially like a charcoal and stuff, is important, because they are kind of delicate, even if they are sprayed. It's just, it's like a watercolor painting. You don't want to have it exposed, because like, what if you like walk by and like sneeze all over it, and then it's wet, and it can, you know, it can actually make something run. It's the same thing with charcoal. I think it's really good to kind of, when you, so, you know, I haven't really, once the final spray on, the final fixative it's called, I've never really tried to touch the work or do anything after I've done that, because, well, first of all, I got to decide when it's done. You know, I mean, if I'm going to spray that spray in my head, I have to be done with it, because otherwise I'm just going to be like, oh, let's change that little thing, or, you know what I mean? And it just goes on and on. So I haven't really played with it yet to see if it actually comes off a little bit if you spray the final, but it seems pretty solid. Is Michael Liu doing charcoal?
I don't know.
If you're listening, are you?
We have a little
I think
bit
it's
of
you.
lag from when we're talking to when it goes.
Okay.
But let's see some more work.
All right, so let's go look at some more.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just kind of turn around. Just a lot of these when I was sitting there, you know, they're all figures, different perspectives. You know, some of my favorites. Well, one of the favorites I just sold, which is awesome. Raven's Hands. It seems, you know, I sold that one and sent that off, and I really love that one. I was actually kind of a little sad to see that one go, just because I don't have the original anymore. But, you know, I've done Raven a lot, just because he's been able to pose for me. You know what I mean? So I try and choose perspectives that I think are interesting. I'm kind of big on balance of, you can see it a lot in my work. I negative and positive space is a big deal for me. I think it makes things more interesting on your eye, and just the figure itself is one of my favorite. Let me bend down. Okay, so this one was really popular. People were like super digging this one. And I get it because it's stunning, but this is not a normal perspective. You know, I don't care what you're doing looking at yourself in the mirror, you're not going to be able to see yourself this way. And right. I think that's some of the things that I try and bring to the pieces, because you can't see yourself this way, you know, but I can, and I can show you that, or show the person who's posing for me, show them a different perspective on themselves and their bodies, and possibly even how somebody else would see you, you know, sexy wise or whatever. This one too. I mean, that's not a normal, I mean, yeah, okay, so you can see your crotch and everything, but it's not like in your face. It's not like, you know, this is pretty, I think my nudes, I consider pretty PG-13. You know what I mean? I do. A lot of people don't. They're like, oh my God, there's boobs and, you know, stuff like that. And I'm like, whatever. But yeah, so, you know, like this one of, you know, Raven's back, you know, first of all, he's a little devil boy. So I put some spikes on. I'll add things, you know, I'll add something that I feel is like accurate to the person, but I know him pretty well. So yeah. Some people don't know that well, but, you know, I wouldn't call this particularly sexual. Sure. I mean, there's no private parts, there's nothing, but there is something, I think, I brought out something very sexy and actually very sensual about that. And it really has, there isn't anything. There's nothing obscene, but there's something that's like, you know, kind of like, wow, you know, like, whoa, dude, that looks good. You know what I mean? So I try and bring that. I try and bring stuff like that out. And it's not always just blatantly, you know, nudies. You know what I mean? So, and then I was mixing it up with pencils, doing some weird criminals. I came across this website with some really weird mugshots of people, and I just thought these would be really funny, if not funny, but sort of like if you sort of saw them as if they were in a photo booth. Yeah. You know, like instead of standing in front of that, you know, thing with the numbers and they're holding a little clipboard. So I worked on that one. Amazing. A nut. Yeah, he's weird.
You said those are pencil?
Yeah, okay, so yeah, I'll hold it. Okay. So this is all charcoal behind, okay? But his face, his face is all just colored pencils, you know. So I mixed sort of a charcoal and a colored pencil thing in.
So are you working with both mediums at the same time, or do you do all colored pencil and then finish it in charcoal?
I think I'm pretty sure I did the colored pencil first. I drew the figure and then I created the background around it. You know, some of them have like an idea or a feeling of like those curtains that go behind them and stuff. They're not like solid charcoal like the nudes are, like that depth. It's a little more of a, you know, presence than just like a void, you know.
Sure.
So I just looked at the time. Should we talk quick about the roadkill?
Yeah, let's do roadkill.
Okay. All right. So, you know, yes, I have a very, I don't know. I have my dark side and I have my interests in like morbid things, but you know, these series, yes, they're dead. This has come from another thread. So I spend a lot of time. I don't know how other artists process things and stuff, but I have a tendency. My process is I drive around in my car a lot, and I crank music, and I think, and I process things. I come up with ideas. I have a little book notebook. I'll pull over. I'll write stuff down. And because I do a lot of this driving, you know, we have a cabin. So when I'm up at the cabin, I'll go for a drive to kind of clear my head or, you know, process something I'm working on. And I see a lot of roadkill out there. I mean, it's just fact. And the thing about the roadkill series for me is, it's not about the fact that they're dead or it, you know, there's maybe a little bit of a morbid or a dark side to it. There's part of that. But for me, it's more about, it's like, it's a chance that you get to actually look at something, an animal or something up close that you normally wouldn't. The squirrel, for example, I did the squirrel. I mean, squirrels are super fast. You never get to see them. But when they're dead, you can see them and you get to look at them up close. And there's something very beautiful and interesting about, I'm going to figure this out. Okay, I'll just sit on the floor. My studio is so small. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
okay.
This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Sort of?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so this is huge. This is 4 feet by 4 feet. Once again, I draw really big because I want you to be able to really see it. You're not squinting. You're not trying to see it. It's in your face. And you get to look and explore at something that you normally wouldn't have the chance to look at up close. You know what I mean? Because they're moving or they're alive and things like that. But, you know, I see all these dead things and roadkill, and I'm just like, well, yeah, it's a shame and that's really sad, but damn, I get to like really look at it, you know, and you poke it, poke it a little bit, you know, stuff like that. I usually don't change. I usually take photographs and work from those that are just, I don't move them. I don't like pose them or anything. I just try and catch like the moment. And most of them are usually tend to be fresh. So it's like, it's almost like that moment where the life just went out of them and you're still getting to kind of see and feel them as if they were alive, but they're not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll show you close up of, okay. So, you know, and there's gross stuff about it, you know, blood and stuff, you know, but I really do like drawing animals, you know. And then this was a big dead fish. Wait, a little shiny. I finally had a chance to, you know, you got to wait like 6 months to a year, depending on how thick the oil paint is, before you can put like a coating on it and a protective sort of. I can't remember what it's called. It's like it's not a shellac. What the hell is that? Well, you know what I mean. You know, so you put it on there and it kind of makes it shiny. So that one's a little shiny. This one will eventually be shiny too. It's not, I don't think it's dry enough yet. But yeah, these are really big. And, yeah, they're roadkill, but they're not gross,
No.
because I really don't see them that way. I have some that are kind of morbid, guts and more blood and, things like that. And I'm going to execute those at some point. But right now, that series is more about the beauty of the animal as opposed to the tragedy or the morbidity, or, see, that's what's happening. Morbidity, because I'm drinking. But I just think, just because something's dead doesn't mean it's not pretty, because it is. I do pretty things. I like to do pretty things.
All of it is, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And it's like, what do you have, like a series that you haven't done yet that you have in your brain? Like, what's future Krista gonna do?
Oh, well, if I am going to expand on the roadkill, I do, the bones and stuff are really interesting to me. Okay. Bones and structure and stuff like that. And also the more grotesque, the guts and the kind of the sort of thing to it. I might expand on that when I kind of get this part out of my system. Then I might kind of expand into a series that is related to the roadkill, but it's a different sort of perspective on it than this perspective, and I don't know, I'm trying to think if, right now I'm pretty wrapped up with kind of what I'm doing, the nudes and occasionally, painting and stuff. I'm trying to learn or teach myself painting. Here, I'll bring this one over, hold on. It's not my greatest, but I had some fun, painting this guy, there you go. Practicing, doing faces, it, like I said, it's a thread for me. So if something kind of sparks an interest, then it's all over. I'm all over it. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to find what it is I want out of it or what I'm looking for. And, so right now my threads are the nudes and the dead animals, which, so I don't have like I don't have a really big set plan on where I'm going to go from here. It's more like I just wait and something's gonna, light that fire under my ass. And then I'm like, ooh, I got to do that, so it's that's my process.
That's awesome. I'm always really impressed with everything that you have, and even just seeing it, it's just, thank you for like letting you be victim number 2 for me with this, because like I don't know what this is gonna be like, but the whole point is I'm hoping after this that people will approach you and they will want to talk to you, because now that a little bit
actually a really nice person. Total smart ass, but I'm actually a really nice person. Unless you piss me off, then you're in trouble.
Yeah. Don't piss off Krista. Everybody, don't.
Yeah, I'm open to whatever. I love seeing other people's stuff, and everybody's got their own skill level. It's, I think art, philosophical, or what, for me, or what I've been taught. My mom was an art teacher. I was an art teacher for a long time too, but now I don't do that anymore. But for me, I think art is about, it's more about seeing things than skill or execution. Vision or an idea or a feeling about something and trying to execute it is way, way more important and more a more stronger part of the art than it is skill and executing it. You know, seeing people out there that are working, even if they aren't proud of their work, or they're worried about their skill level, or you know, things like that. I think that is just a very, very small part of what should be considered in the art process. It's artists see things differently, I think, or allow themselves to see things differently instead of just, you know, the literal. So, you know, like, for example, when people say, oh, you know, your work is so beautiful, it's like a photograph. I understand that's a compliment, and I do take it as a compliment, because, you know, it's not a layman's term to compliment art, but, you know, a lot of people are trying to like interpret something, and if something is, they can see something that they understand, it feels good to them. But it's the execution of it, you know. If somebody else is drawing nudes and they don't have the skill level of mine, it doesn't mean their work is any less important than mine, or it's any better or worse, or mine is any better or worse. You know, if you're seeing something and you're executing it, that's the important part. Thinking about it and never doing it because you're afraid your skill level's bad, or you don't know how to start it, or you've got, you know, starter's anxiety, which I do all the time. You know, I look at a blank canvas and I'm like, shit, I don't know what to do. I don't know where I'm going to start. I'll have an idea, but I'm terrified to start. You know what I mean? So I think that's really common, but it's, you know, people will actually take the time to go ahead and just try it. It usually ends up being something that is a lot more, what's the word? It has a lot more impact than somebody who has an idea in their head and they just execute what they see in their head. They don't go with the flow and they don't let it happen while they're doing it. I don't feel that that's a good way to go about it. I think it's look at things, see them differently, and try and see if you can execute it the way you're feeling it and thinking about it in your head. I mean, I think that skill in an artist is a hell of a lot more important than actual physical skills. You know, painting techniques and composition techniques, or you know, skills with you know, your materials. That's all stuff you can learn. You can't learn seeing things the way you can learn just mastering oil paints. You know what I mean? That's where I think the art really comes from, is that part of it, not the execution. But you know, that's just me.
No, you're talking to a small room that's in my brain that really needed to have this conversation. So I'm really glad that I'm hearing it. Yeah, I am. Mm-hmm. It's like I said, I suffer with art block quite a bit, and it's, I do too. And that anxiety of getting started, that blank canvas, you know, like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing the same thing? Should I be doing something different? Well, what is it? You know, like, I think it's like, I have to remind myself that, like, part of being an artist is having that fear, and that, like, you know, to nurture it in any possible way that I can. Right. Like little bit by little bit, you know, or changing directions or trying something else. And I think it sits in my head by myself. So I needed to hear that. I hope that, like, somebody else needs to hear it too.
I tell myself that all the time. I have the anxiety of the blank piece of paper and the blank canvas and all that kind of stuff the same way everybody else does. But I have learned to be less, a little bit more balls to the wall about it, and take chances and just start on it. And just, I mean, you know, it's interesting. I don't know if you ever saw this on my feed, but I recently did a drawing that it just wasn't what I wanted. I did it all the way to the end, started it, executed it, got it to a point where I'm like, it's finished. But when I looked at it, it's not what, it just didn't go in the direction I wanted it to. So I burnt it. I'm a burner. I mean, I put hours into this thing, 10 hours or something. And I worked on it, and I knew I didn't like it, and I knew I didn't want to keep it, and I knew I wasn't going to be happy. I couldn't save it, and it wasn't going to be the way I wanted. But I finished the piece, and then I finished it, and then I put it in the fire and burned it. That's just me. That's sort of something like I do. It's like I'm proud that I finished it, and I tried, and tons of people were like, oh my God, why'd you burn that? I love that and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't really give a shit what you think. I don't like it, and I don't want to look at it anymore. So I'm just going to burn it. And for me, that's sort of a weird, twisted sort of like, how do I describe it? It's like liberating, where I'm like, okay, I didn't just get all fussy and give up on it in the middle of it and be like, oh, it's not, it's not working the way I want, and it's not looking the way I want. I finished it. And then I just said, well, I'm done. It's not what I wanted. I like what I did, but it's just, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look anymore. So I just burn my art. I know that's kind of weird.
No,
because I'm happy with people like, oh my God, you should have just given that to me or something. And I'm like, I'm not going to give you shit art. If I'm not proud of it, if I don't like it, you don't get it, So yeah, that's what I do. But for me, that's sort of a cleansing thing where I'm like, okay, I did something. I wasn't, I didn't stifle myself and say, oh, I can't do that, so I'm just not going to try. I'll try it, and I'll go as far as I can, or try and solve the problem, do whatever. But in the end, if I don't like it, I really just don't want to look at it. So I just burn it and then start something new. I mean, do you want to go look back? I mean, everybody's like, oh, you could look back at that and be like, oh, look how far you've come, or you've changed your technique and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to look at that. No, I know what I went through. I know it sucks in my mind. I don't want to look at it, so I just get rid of it. But
oh my God, we're making me think. Let's just have a giant bonfire.
The what?
Let's just have a giant bonfire like once a year, and everyone
just burn all of our shit art.
Yep. And be like, all right, who's bringing the booze, and let's throw out our shit.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it is. It's a weird thing, but it is very liberating. There is something about getting rid of it to the point that you don't keep coming back and obsessing over it. I don't know about you, but I can be compulsive like that, where I have something that I've made and I know it's not totally right and it's not what I wanted or something, and I just keep going back, and I'll just change a little bit here and a little bit there and everything. I mean, it's just like, that's endless. I mean, even these pieces that are done, that I've chosen to be done with, and I'm proud of, and I think they're stunning, and I'm very pleased with the end result, and I know I'm stopped, and I know that I'll still walk by, and I'm like, should I just blend that just a little bit more right on that one spot, or should I make a little darker right there? I mean, talk about insanity, Jesus! It's like, is any artist really done with their work? I mean, I swear to God, everybody I know, they'll finish something, they're proud of it, they love it. But every artist is still just never fully satisfied with it being done. And I think it's a really great fuel for artists, because if you look at it and you're like, oh, I could still keep going, or it's not totally exactly perfect, it inspires the artist to go, fuck it, I'm going to go start another one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and achieve what I didn't achieve in this one. If I made stuff all the time where I'm just like completely like, oh, it's genius, I don't have to do anything with it, I mean, would I be inspired to pick up my paints or my charcoal and do another one, because I'll be like, oh, well, this one's so good, I'll never do one that's better. So why do another one better? I mean, I think it's a good fuel to be unsatisfied. I think every artist is kind of unsatisfied with their work, their finished work. There is an ending point. There is a point where you say, okay, I'm done, and the piece is done, and whatever. But I think there's a sickness that artists have of, always wanting to keep going on something else, and never totally being fully happy or satisfied with the things that you do, because I think if you achieve that, then you just start giving up, or you just stop working because you're like, oh, I'm so good. I'm into that. I'm just gonna and just, sell that, and I don't have to do any work again. I don't buy that. But yeah, I don't know. I think you should just don't be so critical. I mean, I know that is like the lamest thing to say.
No, it's not lame at all.
It really is true. Just keep doing it. You know what I mean? And even if you're looking at that page or that canvas and you're like, oh God, where do I start? I have an idea. I mean, I'm terrified every fucking time, pardon me. Every time I start something, I'm like, I'm going to fuck this one up. This one's going to be shit. I'm just, I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to get to this one point, and it's just, I'm not going to be, this is going to be the one that I'm not going to be able to save it, or it's not going to go in the direction I want. I do that every time. And every time I do reach that point in the piece of the artwork or whatever, or executing my idea, where I'm telling myself that over and over again, but I just push through it and I go, well, the worst happens is it sucks and I can burn it. You know what I mean? There's a relief in that of going, nobody has to see it. And I'm not afraid to show shit artwork to people. People can see that all the time. And I don't, it's not like I only present like my best work, but it's like, you just have to work through it. You just keep going, and even if it's going in a direction and you don't like, just keep going, because the thing is, you can always paint over it or get rid of it and start again. It's the starting that is the hardest part, executing something that you have in your mind, or questioning your skills on how well you are going to be able to execute something that you have in your head and you want to have on paper or whatever. That's hard. That is hard stuff. And I go through it every time, even with my pet portraits. And I don't have a formula how I do them. They're all very organic each time I make them, but I have anxiety every time I sit down, because, you set high expectations for yourself because you have something in your head that you really see very clearly and you want to execute very clearly. Getting it from here onto the paper or the canvas can be very difficult, but it shouldn't stop you, just do it. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm like, okay, I just finished this very nice, attractive butt. That boy I just finished. There's that one.
Yes.
This guy. Oh, squeezy. I finished that and I'm like, oh, good. I finally did that one. I have been meaning to get to that butt, and I'm really happy with that butt, and it's done. And I get done with it, and I swear to God, I go into a little bit of a depression I'm using this butt as I've been carrying that butt in my head and how I want it to look or feel for a long time. And I finally got around to doing it, and I execute, and I'm very happy with the results, and I know it's done. But it's like, when I'm done, then I'm like, well, now what? Oh shit, now I got to start a new thing, and that's intimidating, and that's stressful, and that's the anxiety, and now I have to do that. And there's a sadness of like, I finished that piece, and then I'm like, well, it's done now. So it's not in my head anymore. Now something else has to be in there. And, it's just a sick cycle, it's just, it is what it is. I'll just keep doing it,
Well, please keep doing it because they are breathtaking and it's awesome. Really. But I think that we've almost gone an hour and a half. So I think I'm gonna close this up.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, thank you so much.
Yes. And, people can call me and talk to me anytime. I'm good. And, if anybody is interested in prints or anything like that, purchasing any of the originals or prints of any of my work, even the roadkill paintings, I can take some really good photographs and have prints made of those too and stuff. The best option, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and the instant messaging is all fantastic and everything. But as far as like doing a transaction and really discussing a project or purchasing work, I really prefer my email, Krista@clementinearts.com. And I think you're going to put that on there somewhere.
Yep.
Or I can add it after we're done. I can put that on and add it.
Yeah.
But
if you want to,
I just prefer that because that's then all my business and like those conversations are contained in one spot. And I'm not like jumping from platform to platform, trying to remember, okay, somebody won that print and did they contact me, through email or was it, Instagram? It's just email me. It's the best option, I think, if you want to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yes. So everyone, please talk to Krista, through any of those channels that you can. And I'm gonna keep doing this. And I really feel bad for like you and Maggie and the next couple people because
we're the guinea pigs.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So we might have to like
drinking is fun.
Yes.
I'm down with even just one freaking. Let me see yours. Hold it up. Let me see how far you.
I got that far.
Okay. Yeah, I'm almost.
Has been consumed.
Yeah.
So
one drink's not going to hurt you.
We might have to come back around when we get better at this to be Krista part 2. Once we get like all the technology down.
I gotta start making some more work then. Because I tried to put most of it up. It was actually really good timing because I had just taken the photograph. I was really curious to just see the whole body of work together. And so I just recently, before we even talked about this live stream thing, I had just hung them all up and kind of taken a picture of them just so I could like look at them and see, what's consistent about them. Just look at it as a body. And so then when you contacted me, I was like, yes, it's already up. I don't have to deal with it. It looks good. I did have to clean my studio though a little bit because I couldn't even move in here. It was so bad. And it'll be bad by tomorrow, Where do you work quickly before we get off? Are you a basement person? Do you have a studio? What do you do?
I have a very small room in my house that is also like my workout room and my craft room and my nap room. So it's very small and it's very cramped. And like, actually, like sometimes people come and do art with me and I have to pull out like a very small folding chair and they're like this.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, this is fun.
Yeah.
Let's keep doing some art. It's fun. Yeah. It's totally fun.
Yeah. I mean, my studio is really small. It's just we built something off the garage, an addition, and it's self-contained, it's self-heated, the whole thing. I don't have running water out here yet, but I mean, this thing literally is 10 by. It's a small bedroom. It's like, oh, we're buying a house. Isn't that a cute office or kid's bedroom? That's what I work in. But it's mine. I don't have to clean up my crap every time. I got my space. But I am anybody. Okay, here we go. Anybody who knows a line on a decent sized studio. I mean, I would like to upgrade to like maybe, ideally I'd like at least 700 square feet, but I don't know if I can afford that. But I really need to start thinking about getting into a bigger space. Well, because I want to teach classes too,
Yeah.
people have asked for drawing and also like watercolor and stuff. And I love teaching and I miss it a lot, especially with kids, but I just don't have a room. It's just tiny, I can hold a class like with 5 people tops and everybody's pretty much touching each other's knees doing it, and with the current situation, that's a little too close for people to be and stuff. But yeah, I'm itching to get out of here a little bit because I mean, these damn roadkill paintings, I mean, they're 4 feet by 4 feet. They're huge. And I'm working in a matchbox making giant paintings. Like, what the hell? Who does that? I mean, they're huge. Look at them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They're giant, but I still do it. But that's part of the problem too. I can do 2 things at once. I can do that and I can do the nudes. I have no room for anything else, so, but okay. Well, did I do okay?
You did amazing.
Did I pass the muster? Was I a good guinea pig? Tell me I'm a good guinea pig.
You are a good guinea pig. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, that was super fun. And if you ever want to do it again, you call me. All right.
Done. Okay. I'm turning us off.
How do I
Bye.
do it? You're done?